What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. We cover political news. We keep you up to date and keep you informed with everything that the government does, because they're always doing stuff, y'all, and they do a bunch of stuff we don't like all the damn time. Now, it's starting to ramp up. We getting into an election year, right? And we know we got the old Trump versus Biden again. And, you know, a lot of people don't want Trump versus Biden again. We want Trump versus somebody else, or we want Biden versus somebody else, right? But, you know, right now, the political landscape is kind of crazy. You've got an entire wing of the Democrat Party in absolute revolt against Joe Biden, and the polls show it, folks.
We're also getting some new polling out today on the 2024 race. Walk us through what this means for the president.
Well, it's still very much a close race, but again, Donald Trump showing in these polls that he continues to hold an advantage over President Joe Biden. Now, according to these numbers that you see there on your screen, 49% of registered voters choose Donald Trump, and then only 43% for Biden. Now, earlier in the year, Biden's numbers were around 45%, so those numbers are holding steady. And there are issues that are dogging the president and that his team is well aware of. One of them being the handling of Israel's war against Hamas that is unfolding in Gaza. Now, you've seen the protesters that have been happening across campuses, and according to our polling here, there is major disapproval over the president's handling of the Israel-Hamas war, with 71% disapproving. And then two is the economy. And this has been an issue that the White House and the Biden campaign have tried to convey to voters that it is heading in the right direction. But we are still seeing in these numbers that there is still quite a bit of hesitation over whether that's indeed true, with registered voters here only 34% approving of the president's handling of the economy. These are two issues, Jessica, that are going to be front of mind for voters. That is what Democratic strategists anticipate at this point, especially the economy. And so these numbers do not look good for President Biden.
That is absolutely terrible news. And by the way, y'all let me know down in the comment section if y'all like little updates like that to polling and stuff like that. You know, if so, if y'all like those, I'll keep ramping those up and keep you guys informed on the polling. Do a little bit of analysis on that. You know, Joe Biden is in big trouble right now. He is not looking good on anything, right? Except maybe abortion, right? But who cares about abortion? You got a bunch of left-wingers that care about abortion, and the Republicans don't want to seem to fight it because nobody can seem to agree on what is good for abortion or not, right? Like, we've got a lot of people that think, you know, total abortion ban, you know, that's the hard right section. Then most people in the middle are like, yeah, abortion's past a certain date is not a good thing. That just so happens to be where I fall, right? I think it's a state's issue. That's why I loved the overturning of Roe versus Wade. I thought that was a great thing, because now if you want abortions and California gives you the option to kill your kid all the way up until the point of birth, then just go live in California and you can live with all these nut jobs that want to kill their kids. Those people want to trans their kids as well outright, and that's just outright insanity if you ask me too. But, you know, things really aren't looking good for Joe Biden, and I'm going to keep stressing this. Trump is booming right now, especially because of all these political persecutions that the American people can obviously see is outright BS. It's just garbage. There's no crime, especially with this Manhattan trial we got going on. There's no crime. The FEC has already looked into it, declined to prosecute. By the way, that was under the Biden DOJ, in case you guys didn't know that. They declined to prosecute. But Alvin Bragg, he's got to go after Trump. These people are nuts, outright insane, Trump deranged nut jobs, left-wing nut jobs. That's all I can say about it, because every single legal expert has come on, even people coming on CNN talking about, yeah, this is a big nothing burger. There's nothing here. And it's just so funny, because I've been following this trial, right? Because if Trump has actually done something wrong, I would love to know about it, because I've gotten behind Donald Trump since all these political persecutions have started to come out against him. I wasn't necessarily behind him all that much after January 6th. the longtime followers of this channel know exactly how I feel about that. But I want to know if Donald Trump actually done something wrong. So I've dug deep into all these prosecutions, and I don't see anything wrong. It's a banana republic. It's all just political persecutions, if you will, because it's Donald Trump, and Orange Man is bad all the time with these people, and it's just outright BS, all the crap that's going on with this dude. And I'm right there behind him now. I just can't believe the lengths they go to take this man down. He's just gonna bring change for good to the country, folks. It's not gonna be that bad. Okay, so we got Biden way down in the polls. How the hell is he gonna bring his polling numbers up? We have no idea. We have zero idea.
Look, now Trump is saying if he gets elected, he wants to give another. By the way, that tax cut expires next year, okay? Well, let me tell you something. It's going to take expired and dead forever if I'm not elected.
So, and that actually means just about everyone in America will get a tax hike. The White House Communications Department trying to re-message what the president's saying. They tell me today the president wants the tax cuts to expire just for the wealthy while protecting Americans making under $400,000 a year. But that's not what he says, and he can't pick and choose what part of the law expires. If the tax cut expires, the Tax Foundation calculated a family of 2 kids making $85,000 would see taxes go up by about $1,700 a year. A single person without kids making $75,000 would pay the same in increased taxes. A married couple with 2 kids making $165,000 a year would pay an additional $2,500 in taxes each year. Now, economist Steve Moore says this, in combination with the economy, will play in this election.
Yep, he's not going to do it by doing that. Talking about tax hikes, wanting to get rid of Trump's tax cuts. Huh? You can't just get rid of some of those tax cuts. That's outright insane, but I think I know what he's aiming at. Check this out, y'all. G7 reaches deal to exit from coal by 2035. Really? That's very interesting. How the hell are we going to exit from coal in, what is that, 11 years? Energy ministers from the group of 7 major democracies reached a deal to shut down their coal-fired power plants in the first half of the 2030s in a significant step toward the transition away from fossil fuels. There's a technical agreement. We will seal the final political deal on Tuesday, said Italian Energy Minister Gilberto Pichetto Fratin, who is chairing the G7 ministerial meeting in Turin. On Tuesday, the ministers will issue a final communique detailing the G7 commitments to decarbonize their economies. I would really love to know. We have a coal power plant here in my local area. And, 11 years might seem like a long time, but it takes years and years and years to build new power plants. And there's not any new construction on a new power plant here. As a matter of fact, if you go and try to look up new construction of power plants, we have a problem here. The timelines aren't quite matching up. We're not building nearly enough power stations to get rid of all the coal-fired power plants that we have in the country. So I'm just curious as to what they're going to switch to, because they're not building any nuclear power plants. And, they don't like natural gas. That's a much cleaner way, if you ask me. I think we should be building a lot more natural gas power plants. Sure, coal-fired power plants, those are kind of dirty. They do release a lot of carbon dioxide. And I'm not some climate denier or anything like that. Sure, I understand completely that the climate is changing, but I do understand completely, and I have a lot of faith in human ingenuity, and I think we're going to be able to weasel our way out of some kind of climate disaster that's just 10 years away. It's always just 10, 15 years away. That's what these people tell you, while at the same time buying beachfront property. Well, hang on. If the climate's going to change that bad and sea levels are going to rise, why the hell are you buying beachfront property? Yeah, it makes no sense. So I don't believe these climate religious zealots that are committing heresy, essentially, by buying beachfront property and not getting electric cars. This whole this climate religion BS is just outright insane, if you ask me. But let's keep going. Let's see what else they got to say. Pichetto said the ministries were pondering potential restrictions to Russian imports of liquefied natural gas to Europe, which the European Commission is due to propose in the short term. The issue is on the technical and political agenda of the G7. We're working on it. I cannot go any further. If there's a final decision, I will communicate it, the minister said in a briefing to journalists. Yeah, he's not going to go any further into it because there's no plan here, right? We're part of the G7, so that the United States would definitely fall under that. And I don't see nearly enough nuclear power plants, solar panels, right? Like, we cannot rely on solar panels, for God's sakes. That is the most ridiculous thing. You want to destroy your country? Put a bunch of solar panels everywhere. Try to run your electric grid off of solar panels. You're going to find out really quick you ain't going to be able to do that. And we don't have the battery capacity to keep up with that. So what are these people going to do in the next 10 years? I have no idea. They don't seem to have any plan because they're not telling us what they're going to do. We need more nuclear power plants. They need to figure out fusion, for God's sakes. We've been waiting on fusion since the 1950s. It just blows my mind that these people are trying to make you believe that they're doing something for you for the climate, right? Oh, we're trying to save the climate. I think all this is nothing but pandering to the climate religion. That's all they're doing. They're not actually going to change anything because they're not building power plants. They're not really trying to innovate any new technologies for power generation, for God's sakes. Yeah, sure, they're working on fusion, but we've been working on fusion, and I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon. They're not building any kind of hydroelectric. They're not working on geothermal. I haven't seen any progress in geothermal power supply in my lifetime. They haven't really done anything. So to me, it just seems like, well, oh, look, we're virtue signaling. We're doing this for the planet. We're trying to save the dolphins and the whales, y'all. That's what we need to focus on. Trees. Love trees. Right? Why don't we innovate our way out of this, y'all? I don't get it, and they don't seem to get it either. Unless it's just pandering, like I said. The agreement on coal marks a significant step in the direction indicated last year by the COP28 United Nations Climate Summit to phase out fossil fuels, of which coal is the most polluting. Italy last year produced 4.7% of its total electricity through a handful of coal-fired stations. Rome currently plans to turn off its plants by 2025, except on the island of Sardinia, where the deadline is 2028. In Germany and Japan, coal has a bigger role, with a share of electricity produced by the fuel higher than 25% of total last year. Last year, under Japan's presidency, the G7 pledged to prioritize concrete steps towards phasing out coal power generation, falling short of indicating a specific deadline. Once again, because they don't have no deadline, we cannot build these power plants fast enough. People are scared of nuclear, right? Like, I don't understand why they're so scared of nuclear. The fourth generation nuclear power plants are outright amazing, and if you haven't looked into that, I would suggest go look into them. They're crazy. Way better than anything we have today. And that's France, by the way, not the United States, not China. Of course, China's doing its thing too. And China just built that big ass dam that's supplying buttloads of electricity. But it's also just funny that we're trying to stop some third world countries, if you will, from building coal-fired power plants. We're trying to stop them. So we're trying to keep these places in poverty. We're not trying to let them develop because, oh, this stuff is damaging the planet, y'all. And it's like, you can't tell another country what to do. If they want to build a coal-fired power plant, do that. Hey, if we got the resources, let's switch to something else. I have no problem with switching to something else. The thing is, they're not doing it. And they're saying, we have to do this by 2035. Right? Like, they want to take all the cars off the freaking roads. All electric cars. That's what they want. Electric buses, electric semi-trucks, and all this other crap. It's just BS. It's all just pandering, folks. That's all it ever was just pandering. Nuclear energy and biofuels are two other issues at the top of Italy's agenda for the meeting, and Pichetto said both would be mentioned in the final communique among options G7 nations can pick to decarbonize power generation and transports. Wow. On Tuesday, the G7 bloc could also indicate the need for a 6-fold increase in battery capacity, critical to store renewable energy, which is intermittent by 2030 from 2022 levels, one source said. Yeah, I think they would need a much bigger increase than just a 6-fold increase if you're wanting to shift everything to renewables. Yeah, that's just insanity, right? And that's not including nuclear, because nuclear is not a renewable technically. Sun power is renewable. Wind power is renewable. Solar power is not ever going to power the world, for God's sakes. These people know that. You know, maybe one day in the far-flung future, maybe. But I highly doubt it, because they are very, very dependent upon sunlight. And we don't always have sunlight, right? Go put some solar panels on your house in Washington State. Yeah, good freaking luck with that. Go put some solar panels on your house in Britain. Yeah, good luck with that as well. So it's not smart to try to switch to renewables. Right? It's not always windy. It's not always sunny. These things aren't sustainable. But yet they try to tell you it's sustainable. Oh, it's renewables. We got to switch away from coal. Why? Why not just clean up the emissions more? Right? We can scrub all those emissions pretty damn good. We have things called carbon capture. We can capture the excessive amount of carbon dioxide that's in the atmosphere. As a matter of fact, why don't we plant more trees? Hey, does anybody ever remember from 3rd grade school that, hey, carbon dioxide is plant food? That's what plants breathe. That's what trees breathe. Flowers and the like, right? So why are we trying to take their food away? Just wonder, oh, the planet's going to heat up. So what? I think we can innovate around that as well. We have plenty of land, right? That's going to make more land mass because you're going to melt the polar ice caps, and Antarctica is freaking huge. If that becomes tropical, hey, guess what? There's a whole new continent we can move to. There goes that problem, right? We have lots of land in America and in China, and people seem to congregate in these giant cities. Why is that, I wonder? That's where most of these emissions come from. So all these climate nuts out there, yeah, you're making the problem worse. But I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Do y'all believe the climate change is real? Like it's some sort of apocalyptic ending that we're gonna somehow be all killed off and it's gonna be an apocalypse if we don't change our ways? Or do you think this is all just BS to pander to people that love the climate so much and try to get their votes? That's what I think it is. They're just pandering. They don't have a plan to build more power plants and more nuclear power plants, for God's sakes. We're not on track for the 2035 deadline, right? So that's not going to happen. So what was the point in this story? I have no idea. I think it's all just BS if you ask me. Oh my God, what am I doing? But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. That's all I got for this one, y'all. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.